recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
Debbie Harry, that's right. You sing with that rock group,
Blondie.
eh?
Blondie, that's the name of the group.
Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts the music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today on Machino Music, it's Blondie album ranking. Yes, Blondie, one of my all-time favorite bands. This should be fun. Alright, here we go. Blondie album ranking. I love Blondie, they're one of my all-time favorite bands, so this is exciting. Doing a Blondie album ranking. Wearing the Ramones shirt because Blondie toured famously with the Ramones. Now, there was a time, like in the mid-2000s, where Blondie really just went in this Europop direction. You know, they still had some of the punk, new wave, the classic sound going on, but mostly it was just like, you know, this Europop, which is it's okay, but we'll get into that. Starting with Ghosts of Download. Now, this album is not bad. It was a mix of greatest hits with some new tracks. New tracks that are okay. I mean, Sugar on the Side is kind of cool. Put Some Color on You is not bad. But really, didn't really do much for me. I really don't care for this album. And I don't own any of these 2000s albums, so that's why I'm pointing up, as we normally do on the show, when I don't have something. Next up, Panic of Girls. Again, a little bit better. I mean, D-Day is cool. The End. Love Doesn't Frighten Me is my favorite song on the album. Fantastic song. Darker song, you know, kind of has that sort of classic, like, new wave kind of sound, but I don't know. Overall, I'm not a big fan of this album. Okay, next up we have The Curse of Blondie. Again, it's like, there's really only two songs I really like, and that's Shakedown and End to End. I mean, it's a little bit better than the other two that I've already mentioned, but still kind of, I mean, I like those songs enough that I think it, kind of elevates it. I mean, these were really hard to rank, these albums, because, you know, I'm not really a fan of really any of them. Next up, No Exit. The album where the band really started doing the Europop thing. This came out in 1999. It is the best of these albums. It's sort of these Europop thing. It's the best of that style, and the Europop thing is done the best on this album. Though I still don't really like this one. Maria was the big hit. I was never crazy about that song, but, you know, I don't hate it. No Exit, the title track, is pretty good, though it's just very dated sounding because it has that like 90s hip-hop sampling crap that everyone was doing, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just, it sounds cool, but it's just like, it just sounds really, really dated. Nothing Is Real But the Girl is actually my favorite song on the album. That's a really cool song. So that's aggressive Debbie Harry. That's what you want to hear. Debbie Harry, so cool. You want to hear her being aggressive. And that's one of those aggressive Debbie Harry songs. Yeah, so those are now out of the way, the Europop albums. Really hard to rank, as I said. But that's kind of, I guess, how I would rank them. Now we start getting into sort of the classic stuff, starting with the last album for a while until No Exit in 1999, The Hunter from 1982. The Hunter's okay. You know, there's some cool songs on it. The Beast, great song. War Child is awesome. It's my favorite song on the album. Island of Lost Souls, really like that song. Can I Find the Right Words to Say? That's a really cool song. Yeah, I don't own this album, so that's why I'm pointing up to it about this. And yeah, it's cool. And actually, the thing that I want to mention, like, there's that song 1985 by Bowling for Soup. No time for that band. But they got a song 1985, and they mentioned Blondie on it. There's like this because the song's about a woman who's like stuck in the 80s. And they mentioned U2 and Blondie. Wrong! That was wrong. It's factually incorrect because Blondie weren't even a band in 1985. So shame on you, Bowling for Soup. You wrote yourself a catchy song that people were singing. It's wrong. Just want to point that out. But, you know, not a bad album. And Debbie's hair on that album cover. So she's picking up satellite signals with that do. Alright, next album, I guess, one I don't own, I guess I should own it. Auto-American. Really good album. Call Me was the big hit, using American Gigolo. Also Rapture, an early hip-hop tune. You know, I know it sounds weird, like this, you know, blonde white girl. It's like a hip-hop pioneer. But, you know, you have to remember, there weren't a whole lot of rap videos being shown on MTV in, like, 1980, 1981. You know, this was a big deal. And, you know, MTV started in 1981, and here it's just, you know, it's one of the first rap videos shown, and it's done by Blondie. But yeah, I really like this album. I really like it, just kind of like the direction of it. It's kind of the classic Blondie song. Although I never liked The Tide is High. I know that's kind of just played on the radio. Like, everyone still loves that song. They think of that as a Blondie song. It's actually not a Blondie song. I don't even really remember or even care who it's originally by, because I don't like the song. I don't like the original. Blocked it out of my memory. But yeah, that's probably the only song I never really cared for. But you know, I really like the Auto-American album overall. Okay, here we go. Here are the albums I actually start owning, so I don't have to keep pointing. You know, I'm going to rest my arm a little bit here. But here we go, A Return to Form. The 2017 album, Pollinator. This is their most recent album to date. Just such a great album. This is, like I said, a real return to form, new wave punk rock sound, but it's like updated. Doom or Destiny, great song. Long Time, Already Naked, Fun. Fun's great. My favorite song actually is Too Much. Really cool song. Really cool drums by Clem Burke, one of my all-time favorite drummers. Debbie sounds great, and actually it's written by two new members of the band, husband and wife. Here they all are here. Debbie. Chris Stein still getting it done. Clem Burke, looking like a teenager. But yeah, this is a really good album. Great return to form. Really good one. Next up, I'm going to go with the debut. This is the album that started it all. Everyone was like, whoa, hey, let's take notice. And this reissue here says, from the most successful band of the punk new wave movement. And they were huge. Blondie was the band that kind of, like, you know, really started and was the first mainstream, like, I guess, punk band. Ex Offender, great song, originally titled Sex Offender, but that was a little too risque, so let's call it Ex Offender. Little Girl Lies, In the Flesh was a big hit. Beautiful song. Shark and Jet's Clothing has a real new wave, like real cool synthesizer on it. Rip Her to Shreds is on here. That is like aggressive Debbie. That's the Debbie. When you think of Debbie Harry, you think of a song like Rip Her to Shreds. Great song. Kung Fu Girls. So closing out the album, one of the weirdest songs in anybody's discography, especially a Blondie. When you think of this, like the hits, nobody ever thinks of the Attack of the Giant Ants. Crazy song. I mean, right in the middle, it has this, like, this breakdown part where it's like a scene right out of a 1950s B monster movie. Or you hear this, monster attack. So yeah, it's really, but a really cool song. And then it ends with like a party sounds. It's really cool song. This is a really cool album. Here they all are on the back. So you see this stunning woman, you're like, whoa, hey. And then you see these, these guys, and you're just like, what is this all about? And you listen to it, you're like, wow, it's a cool band. Yeah, love it. Next we're going Eat to the Beat. This album's so great. I used to listen to this. Many a Machino music production was written while listening to this album. I used to listen to them all the time when I would write. This stuff is written, by the way. Yeah, we got Dreaming, probably my favorite Blondie song. If you tied me to a chair and threatened me with violence and said you must name your favorite Blondie song, I would probably say Dreaming. The Hardest Part, great song. Union City Blue. Shayla, beautiful song. Eat to the Beat, the title track, really fun. Sound Asleep, really nice ballad, very calming song. Could almost be a lullaby, but Blondie style.
I want to go down, to go to sleep.
Yeah. This is a really good album. What's inside here? Forget what the insert looks like. There's more shots of the band. Oh, look at Debbie. That's what's so cool about Blondie. Like, just a supermodel woman and these, like, really interesting looking, well-dressed dudes. And you're just like... And then you hear the band, you're like, wow, this sounds really interesting. This is not like anything I've ever heard before. Yeah. So there you go. Eat to the Beat. Next up, Parallel Lines. This was the big one. This was like where everybody really took notice of Blondie. Actually, I would say this is like a perfect album. Not quite my favorite, we'll get to that, but this is like a perfect album. I mean, every song on this is great. Just so good. And actually, when I saw Blondie in concert in 2008, they played this album straight through. Of course, most of the people, because it was at a casino. Casino crowds suck. They get a lot of tickets for free, so they just kind of come in. They just want to hit the slot machines, they want to hit the tables. So by the time they got to Heart of Glass, half the place just screwed off. Got the hell out of there. It's like, show some respect, will ya? It's Blondie. But yeah, this is great. Hanging on the Telephone, originally done by a group called The Nerves, power pop group. Blondie made the song their own. A lot of people don't even realize that's a cover. But yeah, love Hanging on the Telephone. One Way or Another, I'm kind of tired of, but still it's such a great song. Again, aggressive Debbie. She sounds great on it. Picture This. Pretty Baby. Sunday Girl, great song. Actually a very underrated hit. You don't hear too much about Sunday Girl. Great song. Of course, Heart of Glass. And Just Go Away is a really fun song to close the album. Yeah, I mean, every song in this album was great. So good. There they are on the back. Glenn Burke looks like he's like wearing a turban. He's like got a microphone, an ice cream cone on his head. Look at that. But yeah, great album. Such a cool looking band. Yeah. And my number one. This is my favorite Blondie album. I've probably mentioned it before on this show. Plastic Letters. Yeah, love this album. It doesn't really have any huge hits on it. It had some early hits for the band, but it's just some of their just most interesting songs. This was their second album. Like, this is a band that were just right out of the gate, you knew, okay, this is what this band is about. They're like this, this punk band, but they're like kind of got this real new wave kind of feel to them. They're one of the first like early new wave groups, and they're just love the stuff on this album. Fan Mail, awesome song to kick it off. Denis, which is the masculine of the Randy and the Rainbow song Denise, and they did it as Denis, and Debbie sings part of it in French, which is really interesting. All of a sudden, oh, she's singing in French. It's a great song. Bermuda Triangle Blues, Flight 45, really cool song. This is like a snapshot. A lot of Blondie's albums, especially I think this one, it's like a real snapshot of like 1970s New York City. And this came out in 1977. Some crazy stuff was going on in New York. So this is like a lot of this, and if you read Debbie's biography, Face It, great book, love it, recommend it if you're a fan of Blondie, and if you just want interested in that time, she really gives you like just how crazy 1970s New York really was, and I think a lot of this album really kind of captures that. I'm always touched by your presence, dear. I'm on E. I didn't have the nerve to say no. Kidnapper. Detroit 442. Yeah, great. Love this album. This is my favorite. So there you go. That's my Blondie album ranking. If you like the albums differently, that's cool. That's how I like them. And like I said, I'll say again, it was very hard to rank the latter part of the catalog until we got to Pollinator. Not a big fan of the Europop thing, but if you're a fan of that and you love those albums, that's cool. But that's how I like the albums. If you're a fan, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.